So today we're going to be looking at the best value players in each position. There is obviously quite a few of the newer players that are going to be more valued than anything because that is kind of how it's set up. But with the news that the quadruple playstyle plus is coming in team of the season, it throws everything out of the water. I would not be doing many of the massive SBCs if you can help it. Now, obviously, there's going to be a one or two that I'm going to throw in, but I'll explain. Evolutions, you've got to be very picky now with what you're going for, and just in general, I wouldn't be spending a lot of my coins. Quadruple Playstyle Plus was an outside shot here. Normally, that came in footies, well, the 1 year that we've got it, so having it this early on is going to be very interesting for the progression of the game. Now, going straight into it, Goalkeeper, it's very simple. I say this in any Goalkeeper video, anytime we talk about them, it doesn't matter who you go for. As long as they're in a topper category, you're normally pretty safe. They're going to let in what they let in. They're going to not say, they're going to save what they save. It's as simple as that. There is no unbelievable goalkeeper. You could have a more expensive goalkeeper, but naturally, if you go against 50 people that just pass around your goalie, there is not one that saves it. So it's as simple as, but I do like Alisson's new 93. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. Now going into the left back, I must admit Nuno Mendes looking pretty good in the Dream Chasers. Now, the Dream Chasers was very much a questionable promo. I was very half and half. There was a couple of really nice players and most definitely more towards the cheaper players because realistically, I'm not going for the most expensive players in these because what's the point when we look at it and think, well, do I go for the Lewandowski here or go for the Lewandowski in Team of the Season in literally 2-3 weeks? Obviously, this was before Immortals. Then obviously you look at the likes of Alisson, solid value, Bentancur. I'm quite happy spending 38,000 for a tiki-taka, anticipate. Obviously, we thought that the triple player style plus was coming first, but it just kind of makes you think, well, what was the point in trying to go for all of these big players at some point? Because you're looking at Mbappe, you know he's going to get a quadruple play style plus. Same with Wirtz, same with Harry Kane, same with a lot of players. Martinez will be another one that definitely gets into there. I understand with the Immortals because we're not going to have icons for the next 5 to 8 weeks potentially, depending on how they break down each team. I could understand going for them because at least A, they got the triple play style plus, and B, some of them might be evolved during team of the season. But Nuno Mendes, quick step with the intercept. Obviously, he's got himself the roles. He's got the fullback, the false back, no attacking wingback, which is very surprising for him, to be honest. But also can play in the defensive role of a centre back as well, if you do want. I think he's a very prime spot for a solid defender. Now, I don't know which version you've got, which one you're going to use, but any version of him. Quite literally, any version you can get of this man, he is always worth it in your team. More than likely, he'll get into team of the season, but you can just get him into a 91 and be absolutely fine. There's been so many different avenues that you can go with the gold, from using the backline boss, which I think is the one I personally used, because I do like the Anticipate this year, and especially since I don't know if they reintegrated it back in or just made it more metaful. It's just worked so much better. And then obviously we threw on, I want to say my one's 92. I'm pretty sure I put him onto this one. I'm pretty sure he's 92 or 91. It's been a while since we've put him into the upgrade, so I want to say it must be into this 92. Oh no, it could have been this one. This could be where I'm at with him at the moment, and then obviously you could go for one of these. I'm waiting for a dynamic. It's the only thing I don't like. I really wish I'd go for the 90 instead, so hopefully we do manage to figure that out. But in general, they are both free evolutions. back then. You can still, like I say, get into a few now, which is absolutely fantastic. So if we was to just refresh him here, you can obviously go ahead and put him into this one. Still gives him the intercept, which I think is fine. It's free and also 25,000. You obviously don't have to put the Hawk. If you don't really want to, you can obviously swap that out and just put him into Hawk 1 if you really wanted to. But you could put him into Gladiator as well. Regardless, you could put him into whatever you need to. This would be with the defensive driver on its own. So depending on what you want from him, you get a little bit of extra pace, I suppose, with obviously that one. It's up to you. But I think Virgil for me is like an Mbappe. He's always a staple in the team. He has to be there at some point. Throwing on to the next one just because we can throw him in there. Gabriel. Beautiful SBC. He's got 2 or 3 days left, depending on when you're watching this video. But if it's from the date, we're going on the 23rd. He has 2, maybe 1 day left after this, depending on when this goes up, to get him done. Now, I don't know if he's done enough to get into Team of the Season. I think Saliba is going to be one of them. You got to think of names. As much as sometimes you might think somebody else deserves it, I don't know if Gabriel has done enough, in my opinion, for this. I think most definitely we are going to see Virgil at a minimum. Whether we see 2 Liverpool players or they throw it into an Arsenal player and give it to Saliba instead to maybe sell some packs. It's a potential. We could see an SBC or moments maybe, but in general, whenever we've seen him in there, his kind of Team of the Season last year was a little bit lackluster. This could have been the first time to really have got a big Team of the Season. So taking the chance on potentially going against the grain, I think as a cheap option right now, if he doesn't get one, you're absolutely laughing because you've got yourself a 93 that definitely can be involved in the future. I don't think there's any question with it. Obviously, if you wanted to go for a Saliba option instead, he's got a couple of options you could go with, mainly looking for an evolution with the 90. You can obviously use the defensive driver on him as well. Still absolutely fine. You'd get the intercept as well, so that's another option, but you're taking away from Virgil if you want to do that. Throwing ourselves into the right back situation then. Pavard. Beautiful right back. He obviously can play, again, centre-back, right back. I like the versatility of roles, especially when we do have the role plus and the roles. Having that just a little extra if you really need it in-game, it always works fantastically. But having the jockey and intercept, great combination for the right back. As well, being 6'1", he's not too tall to be in the right back zone. I think he does play centre back really well as well. But having that amount of agility, balance and dribbling in general, mixed in with a decent amount of passing, he works the right back role very well for the price that you're paying, that is. I'm not saying these players are the best in the position, but for what they cost, really not that bad. You throw a shadow, an anchor, whatever you want to throw at him, you're getting a pretty solid high-end right back or centre back if you want. So for me, I think that is a no-brainer, especially with the kind of levels of defenders we've got at the moment. To save yourself a fair few $100,000 on any of the new players, it's a solid option. Now with the midfield, I think this one was quite an easy one. Again, going for the cheaper prices. Matthias is a must, is an absolute must. Before we get an evolution for him, even if it's not an evolution that takes him that high, this card is going to go crazy with it. Now, obviously, he can only go to the 65,000, but remember when you can't get a player because he's extinct, that is going to be what Matthias will be like. There was a whole host of them in the Immortals. You had all of the main ones, like you've got 740 now for his 94, especially with the fact that we know that we're getting quadruples. This is more of an evolution player, but still has a decent enough to give you right now. Rooney was the exact same. Even Hernandez as a 91 was good. Smith is there. Zambrotta's there. The first week definitely had a few as well. You obviously saw, was it Zola? Zola is an 88. Bale is a 90. Zanetti, Blanc. Loads and loads of options that you can go with that are cheap now. 21, 22, 30,000 coins. But I've still got the body type. Like you look at a Rooney, you look at a Zola. If you go from them to be a 80 rated card and a 99 rated card, the body type is the same. You've just added levels of stats. Matthias is the perfect example that it doesn't matter what rating you give him. He is still Matthias. you throw him with an evolution just to up them. To be honest, even with the stats that he's got now as a 90, still pretty good. 4-star, 4-star, block, and obviously bruiser. Throw in then an extra 2 playstyle pluses and a 94. You've got yourself a pretty high-end card and maybe above this version right here. So I think that for me is a no-brainer for the future right this second. Another one that came in during the Immortals, I must admit, Abile, was sensational. For 87,000 coins, she's brilliant. Intercept, one of my favourite in a midfielder that's defensive and attacking. Tiki-taka, which is nice. It's not necessarily my go-to, but it works. I mean, it's an extra. I do kind of like pinged pass at the moment. That's been one of my favourites. But then also mixed in with it is the incisive. I love the incisive for the through balls, especially when it comes to very quick and pacey wingers. It just works really well. I like incisive and ping pass move together. Then with the intercept anticipate combination, it's a beautiful centre mid. 87,000 coins is all it's going to cost. Obviously, the stats are incredibly good. You're going to throw the anchor on her as well. 94, 91, 88. 2 stats away from being 90 across the board for 87,000 coins. I'm not saying it's going to be the best for a while, but for right now, cheap, affordable, and will keep them coins ticking over, ready for team of the season. Now, one that I personally think you can go for. This is an extra option that I think as a centre mid works. You can pick a few different options. To be honest, they will get you to the same place. Is going to be the Become Immortal. Now, with this one, it is free to start with, so I'm kind of going on that assumption. So we start obviously with the 85. I think you can start with the 86 as well. You then obviously go in. I personally went... What did I even go for? I went for the incisive pass. I know I went for that one. And did I go then for the anticipate or did I go the incept? I want to say I went for the anticipate. Then obviously from there you throw yourselves up for the skill move weak foot. It doesn't really matter for that one. We then went to the 90 would have been this one. Where did we go? It would have been, say we throw in this one just because we want to get to the rating. That's all we care about. Then obviously we went to the 91. Then we obviously went to the 92. So at this point, this is free. That is good enough. Like, no matter the player you picked, that is a phenomenal free player. You are not getting much better in that centre mid zone if you've picked your options for free. You can, however, throw either 500,000, which coin-wise is not very good value. 1,000 FC points, I must admit that they've done pretty well this year in A, making cosmetics cost, and B, making evolutions seem worth it. Like genuinely, to put that as 1,000 FC points, like what you're looking at, what, 5-6 quid, I think it is, or something along them lines. That actually seems pretty worth it for 500,000. So you've got yourself a 94 icon Tonali here. That is an outstanding card. Like I say, you can keep it at the 92 and that is totally free. No one can take that away from you. Then you could throw him into the 94. It gets a little bit extra stats. For me, I think as a midfielder, like the Strike Force, like many of the other evolutions, the Team of the Year, Daily Star, the centre-back, you can't get much better than that for the cost that you're going for. And a lot of the time, they gave you it for free. The Strike Force and this version of him is obviously costly. The Team of the Year Daily Star was free. And then obviously Maradona was another one that you could throw in. Zidane was another great option. Loads and loads of solid options you could go with. Now, obviously, we throw ourselves up front. Malin, I still think, is incredible in this role. And obviously, going into the Prem does help a little bit because you naturally don't have to worry about the Bundesliga too much. That was my biggest problem at the start of the game with this card because I was like, well, I've got nowhere to put him. He doesn't fit into the team. I have one Dutch player. I could maybe throw in a manager. I haven't got Van der Sar yet, so I couldn't get him linked in. So he was having to be a super sub. Going into Prem, much easier to get him in. Now, obviously, the problem is there's a lot of competition on them wings. He's very much not my number one, but he definitely could be a super sub. And for the price that you're paying, is always a pretty good right wing for the cost, that is. There's obviously a massive cost on a lot of players. I think at the moment I've got Lauren James, Team of the Year there at the minute. That more than likely changes in this week with Team of the Season. So I personally would be very happy for a Malin right now instead. Then we throw ourselves onto the left-hand side. Now, like I said, some of the SBCs you go through are a bit too expensive. You look through a lot of the players. I don't think there's many, other than maybe like a road to the final that can upgrade. I would consider, obviously, we've got a team, like for instance, if I wanted to do the Man U team, Eriksen's got to be a must. But when I look at Doué, I look at Schlotterbeck, I look at Alonso, they're prime fodder options. Maybe a Royce for the nostalgic vibe, a Chesney for the cheapness of a 92. That's possible. But then you go into the icons, and there's actually some good icons. Like, I would always recommend Hullet. I don't think he's cheap enough for everybody to do him, especially if you're starting him right now. You're going to have to really focus on him with plenty of SBCs coming out that might seem better. But then you throw in an Eto'o, a Drogba, Baresi, Zico. I personally think if I was to pick one of them out of them for the most kind of value, I would say Henry. Now, as much as 1.2 mil is very expensive, I think Henry is still one of the best cards you can physically get. It would be the toss-up between him and Hullet, but I think Hullet being 3.7 is a little bit of an excess. I think with Henry, 1.2 is seen reasonable for a card of this sort of stature when most people are more expensive. I think this is a card that is an absolute must-do, let alone for the evolutions later on down the line. For right now as well, he is exceptionally good. Now, there is one other SBC, but he is a lot cheaper than a lot of these, and that's Gerd Muller. Now, I don't necessarily think he's a must complete. I really don't, because not necessarily because of him in general. I just think with the amount of strikers that we've got, if you wasn't going to put Henry on the left, if he was going to miss out Drogba, miss out Eto'o, miss out Eusebio, then CR7 that we've recently got, Strike Force that we've recently got, I just think you'd have to have missed out on a lot to then think, oh, Gerd Muller's pretty good. And I mean, yes, he is. He's phenomenal. He's a great card. But I don't think he's better than all of them options put together. So 415k is great value for the card. In terms of the better striker, CR7 wipes the floor all day long. Now he's more expensive, which is fair enough. But I do think with Gerd Muller, having the quick step or rapid would have been a better attribute than, say, the power shot. But I get why they give him the triple shoot-in playstyle plus, which, I mean, I'm absolutely for. It's fantastic to see. Hopefully the quadruple could be that quick step, which would really turn this card into that next sort of level. Now, obviously, there is a lot of evolutions that do follow this team. I do think there is plenty of popular ones that you can have a look at, from Pump You Up, which a CR7 is going to be fantastic with. I've been seeing him a lot, and he's relatively cheap at 117k, plus then 25k for the evolution. I mean, it's a very nice CR7 you can get. We obviously saw Ronaldo coming into the Strike Force. Now, if you've got him, it's fair enough, but not everybody has the R9, so fair enough that you probably haven't got him done. But then we did see Mia Hamm with plenty of evolutions. We saw a lot of Suarez. Suarez was kind of like the big key component. So if you kind of have a look down here, there is a lot of cheaper ones going for any version of Theo Hernandez is great. You've obviously got the Sunday League Ringer, not necessarily metaphor, but still worth a mention. And then you can kind of keep going down and seeing as we go into Team of the Season for their evolutions as well. But that is going to be the full 11. Like I say, looking for the evolutions in the future, making it cheap and cheerful, and looking at the popular players, sometimes looking and seeing what sort of prices people are at. I think Mbappe is a great option as well. 307,000, cheap, affordable, and most definitely will still get you through it even at the gold value. That is kind of the best bit about him, is it doesn't matter what stage of the game you're in, Mbappe is always meta. And never forget that. But make sure you do like and subscribe on this, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.